So the first part of the setup we want to work on is the body position, or body shape sometimes it's called, and that is to make sure that the body has this K position that we're looking for. So what we're trying to do is make sure the left side is very straight or builds a line. So I imagine that I'm standing here against the wall. I want my shoulder, hip and leg to all be in line. And the right side, there's going to be an angle between the upper body and the right leg. So from a neutral position here, from a symmetrical position, I do have to bump forward slightly. But I'm only doing it very slightly to that amount that the hip is in line with the shoulder. What you should find, a good checkpoint, is that the head should be in the middle of the feet. So to get this K position, we need to practice this really in front of a mirror to get it right. We obviously don't want the left hip to be through the wall this way. Now I've got shape in the left side and the right side. And we definitely don't want this symmetrical or this inverted look with the angle on the left side of the body. So it's just a small bump forward with the hips. The hand should be slightly to the left of center. And that gives me my body shape. So you can see the left shoulder is higher than the right shoulder. So by getting this body shape correct, what it allows us to do is also take a neutral grip. So the more I start in this position, so with too much shape in the body, the tendency will then be to grip too much this way or too strong. Okay, the hands will turn under. And then the opposite is true. If I don't have any shape in the right side of the body and I have more shape in the left side, then I'll tend to have more of a weaker grip with the hands turned in this direction. So by getting the body shape right, first of all, it allows us to get the right starting position, or gives us a body position that we're also going to have at impact. And secondly, it allows us to get a neutral grip. So the second point we want to work on in this setup is the body posture. So from the back angle, what we're trying to do here is tilt forward from the hips and keep the shoulders and head up. And we're really trying to tilt about 20 degrees forward, that we create this position here where the hands and arms hang in front of the body. So we're really trying to create room for the arms and hands and club to swing here. So if I start too much in the knees with the body straight, I don't have any rooms for the arms and hands. So I really want to make sure from the beginning, when I take my posture, that I start very straight in the back, head is up, chin is up, I'm bending forward from the hips, and just a very small bend in the knees. So I'm just unlocking the knees, and that gives me lots of room here. When I drop the club down with my arms here, I've got lots of room for my arms to swing. So posture is going to be this way, forward from the hips, very small bend in the knees, arms hanging this way. So now I've got all the room that I need. Second thing that's going to do for me, by keeping my shoulders back this way and keeping my back straight, it's also going to allow for me to get a better turn in the shoulders around the spine. So the more I start in this position with a rounded back, so if I don't bend forward from the hips, I'll tend to round the shoulders, or if my arms are too straight, I'll round the shoulders. And from here, it's much more difficult to get those shoulders turning around the spine. So you're going to have the shoulders turning in the wrong direction. They'll tend to tilt in this direction. And the second thing it'll do, it'll really restrict the shoulder turn. So we want to make sure when we take our posture that we always start with the back straight, shoulders are pulled back, head is up, chin is up. So when I bend forward, I've still got my back fairly straight. From this position, like I said, we can get the shoulders turning correctly around the spine, and we can also get a bigger turn in the shoulders. So now we're going to talk about the stance and the ball position. So when we're taking our stance, we want to stand about shoulder width for an iron shot. For a driver, we could be slightly wider. But very important is to make sure we don't start with the feet too straight. We want the feet turned slightly out. So both feet get turned out between 10 to 15 degrees. And that's really going to help with your balance. And secondly, it's also going to help the lower body turn. So we want to get that shoulder width, feet turned out. And now with the knees are going to be just slightly inside the feet. We don't want the knees too separated, so they're over the feet. That's going to lock the lower body. And we don't want the knees too much in. That's also going to be difficult to turn correctly. So the knees are just slightly inside the feet. And I've got my feet open. Now I'm in a position where I can get my hips and knees to get a little bit of turn in the swing. So you can see how my left leg will want to work out, the right leg and hip will work back away from the camera there. Now the next point is the ball position. So with every golfer, the ball position will be a bit different. We want to find where we get the low point of the swing. But I think for all golfers, we need to make sure that the ball is at least a little bit in front of the middle. So I've got a 7-iron here, and I want that ball position for me to be about a ball width further forward. Now the advantage to having the ball slightly further forward in the stance is that it allows me to also get my hands forward. So I always want to feel that when I'm setting up, I've got the left hip forward on the wall, I've got the ball forward off the midpoint of the stance, and I've also got my hands forward. So with a longer iron, I could have the ball slightly further forward. It wouldn't be much difference, but I always want to feel like I'm in that position. So when I'm setting up here, what I'm really trying to do as a reference point is use my left ear. I want my left ear to be pretty much opposite the ball or just slightly in front of the ball. I don't want the ball to be so far forward that my head and my left ear are behind the ball. The low point's going to be too early or too soon here behind the ball. And I definitely don't want to get the ball too far back. Getting the ball too far back, you can see now my left ear is too far in front of the ball. That'll tend to make me have my hands back too much this way. So I'm not leaning the shaft anymore. So we want the ball to be slightly in front of the middle, pretty much opposite the left ear or slightly behind the left ear. And that way we can still get that shaft lean with the hands in front of the midpoint of the body. So now we're going to talk about the arms in the setup, getting the right arm structure. So getting the right arm structure will also help you get into the right posture. It will also help getting the right body shape. It will give you the right feel for impact. So it does a lot of things by getting the arms correct. So what we want to avoid is getting the arms overly straight and stiff this way. So you can see by getting the arms too straight, that's going to round my shoulders straight away. So we always want to feel that the arms are this way a little bit, so they're actually bent slightly this way. So if I was carrying something with a bit of weight, I would always want to have the arms bent to make it easier to carry. Arms straight always makes the object heavier, so we're always looking for this position. That way I can get these shoulders pulled back and get my shoulders to turn better on the backswing. Now really what I want to feel when I'm getting this little bit of arm tuck or bend is that the right arm is always going to be slightly more bent than the left one. Okay, so the left one is slightly more extended, it's relaxed, still got a small bend in it, but it's the right one we want to get the most bend. So I'm always trying to get my right arm and hand in this position. So I've got some bend in the right arm, bend in the right wrist, that way I can lean the shaft. So whenever we hit a ball at impact, we want to be in this position. So that right arm is applying pressure to the ball. We're compressing the ball with that right arm, or that right wrist angle and that right arm angle. So we also want to start that way. That gives us the feel for how we want to be at impact. So by getting that right arm tuck, just a small tuck in the left arm, you can see I get my body shape right. So when I hit the ball, I want that body shape and I want that arm and wrist angle in the right arm. So it's going to be a really important point. If we can get ourselves in this position, like I said, it helps my body position, helps my arm structure, gives me the feel for impact, and it's also going to allow me to get that grip into the club in front of the club head. So it gives me that shaft lean. So if you have just a little bit of shaft lean when you set up, it allows you to get the swing started right with the club head first. So as soon as that right arm gets too straight and the hands get too far back, you're always going to tend to drag the club away. Okay, so you're getting your sequence wrong straight away. We always want to get the outside point, the club head moving first. So we get that arm structure right. Allows us to get the right body posture, the right body structure, right body shape. And then we can also get the swing started correctly. And we've also got the right feel for the impact position. So when we're learning the grip and the setup, we always want to learn to get that body shape right first, learn to get the arm structure right before we try and get the grip right. So you need to spend some time in front of a mirror, making sure you've got that K position, making sure we've got the posture right, we've got the shoulders pulled back, got the arms slightly bent. So once we've got that body shape right and posture correct, and we've got our arms in this position, so slightly bent, then we're in position to try and take the grip. So when I'm taking my grip, I always make sure my arms are slightly bent and that I'm in the right body posture. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the video, if we get too much shape in the body, we'll never get the grip right. Okay? Same goes if we get an inverted shape in the body, we'll get too weak a grip. So if we just get the body shape right, the arms slightly bent, then we can take our grip. So what we want is a grip where the hands are in this position, where they're opposite each other. We don't want them opposing this way, we want them more opposite this way, so facing each other. So if we get the hands facing each other, what we'll find is that we'll get a small angle in the hands. So between the arm and the hand there's a small angle on the left and also a small angle on the right. So when I'm making my grip, I always make sure my arms are slightly bent this way, and then I've got a little bit of angle in the left and a little bit of angle in the right hand, and then I can take my grip. So I've got my body shape, my arms bent. When I'm placing the left hand on the club, the arm's already slightly bent. Okay, you can see I've got the club up, so I've got the shaft parallel to the ground almost. I'm bringing my hand on this way. So I'm gripping the club in my fingers. I've got the left thumb just slightly to the right of center, and I can see that I've got an angle here. And the same will go with the right hand. It comes this way. So you can see the palm of my hand is facing where I'd want to hit. I've got my right arm bent, and I'm placing my right hand on this way. So I've got my palms opposing each other, and I've got this little angle in the right hand, little angle in the left hand. So it's really, getting the right grip is all about getting the wrist angles right. So to do that, I'm actually gripping the club a little bit in the fingers. So when I grip the club this way, you can see the club goes into the fingers, the heel pad of the hand sits on top, and the thumb goes slightly to the right of center. So we don't want the club going through the palm of the hand in this position. It's always more down in the fingers. So my fingers wrap around the bottom of the club, the heel pad sits on top, and that creates pressure. So the club is locked in there. Okay, the pressure comes from underneath, from these three fingers here, the last three, and from the heel pad of the left hand. So I can make sure I've got a really stable grip. The thumb goes then on top. Now with the right hand, okay, again, like I said, it's coming from the side. My right arm is bent. My palm is facing where I want to hit, my target. And you can see that I'm placing my hand on this way. Again, fingers go around the bottom of the club, and then I'm folding the right hand over so that this pad extending from the thumb of the right hand sits on top of the left thumb. I'm actually going to make pressure from that pad on top of the left thumb and from the middle two fingers of the right hand. So that's the club nice and stable there in the hands. So I feel like my fingers are fairly tight on the club, so I've got a good control of the club, but I also feel that I've got relaxed arms and shoulders. So if my shoulders and arms are relaxed, I can waggle the club this way, and I can also make this motion with the wrist. Okay, so that hinging motion. Okay, so I can make the hinging motion, I can waggle the club back and forth, but I also feel that my fingers have a good control of the club. It's really more the forearms, the wrists, and the shoulders that stay relaxed. The fingers keep a good grip on the club. Now to connect the hands, what we want to do with the right hand is have this little finger overlapping here between the middle and index finger. That's the overlap grip. And that would be the grip that I recommend for most golfers, is to get this grip here. Okay, of course, there is the other option, the interlock grip. The problem with this grip is a lot of golfers go too deep in the fingers here. So if I go too deep in, what will tend to happen is that the hands will start to oppose each other again rather than face each other. So although there's nothing really wrong with this interlock grip, as long as we don't go too far in, we should be okay. But like I said, for most golfers, I would simply just try with the overlap grip, that the small finger sits between the groove there between the middle and index finger of the left. So now I've got my neutral grip. So a neutral grip is always going to be when the hands are neutral to the body. So that means that they're facing in this position. A strong grip will be when the hands are turned this way. So the left hand is turned over, the right hand turned under. And a weak grip would be the other direction. So when we have a neutral grip, the advantage to that is the club face will tend to stay square throughout the swing. Now if I get my body shape wrong at the start, so if I get too much body shape, and I get then a strong grip, you can see my hands are turned in this direction now. So the back of the hand is facing upwards, as is the palm of the right. So they're no longer neutral to the body. Okay, so when I start my swing, these hands will want to get neutral to the body again, and they will tend to turn in this direction. So if I set up with a grip that's too strong, they'll tend to turn into a neutral position on the backswing. And you can see it closes my club face. So the club face is pointing too much down. With a neutral grip, the club face is going to look more in this position. So it's facing more forward this way. Again, a strong grip will close the club face. So the opposite will be true with a weak grip. That will normally start with someone who has no body shape or has the body shape wrong on the left side. So we've got an inverted body shape now. The right hand will come too much on top. The right arm will be straight. And now I've got the hands turned too much in this direction. So this is always going to open the club. So again, the hands are no longer neutral to the body. They're turned this way down. And they want to be neutral as they swing back. They're going to turn this way. You can see how it opens the club face. It fans the club face open. So from the back angle, okay, I've got no body shape. I've got a weak grip. You can see the right arm is too dominant on top of the left. And that's going to turn the club face open. So that's going to lead to shots that go high to the right. The strong grip is going to lead to shots that go low and left. So we want to make sure we get our body shape right, we get our arms nice and bent, and then we learn to take the grip from this position, so the club is up off the ground. We're gripping the club in the fingers here, this way. Same with the right hand. We've got the overlapping grip. We've got our body shape, our arms right, and now we've also got our grip right. And getting that grip right, that's going to be your connection to the club face. It's going to allow the club face to stay square throughout the swing.